you was thinking when Tank did that when he took the knee? What you was thinking when he took the knee?
I can't speak on it.
That as a knockdown. And if Steve Willis counts that as a knockdown, Lamont wins by 1 point on 2 scorecards.
Those times, there's a count, dude. I mean, and I'll tell you what, Steve Willis also knew there was a count because he started counting and then stopped.
Referee Steve Willis initially started counting, but then stopped midway. He has now addressed the controversy surrounding Gervonta Davis taking a knee. During his fight against Lamont Roach, the incident sparked debate because Willis did not rule it a knockdown. Instead, he allowed the match to continue without a count, leading to discussions about whether his decision was correct.
What you was thinking when Tank did that when he took the knee? What you was thinking when he took the knee?
I can't speak on it.
Can't speak on that?
Can't speak on it.
He did some bullshit though?
I can't speak on it.
You no personal opinion, nothing?
Can't, especially you.
Analysts have been dissecting the moment when Tank Davis took a knee against Lamont Roach, comparing it to past instances where fighters voluntarily went down without receiving a clean punch. Examples include Floyd Mayweather taking a knee against Carlos Famoso Hernandez due to an awkward moment rather than a direct hit, Miguel Cotto kneeling against Antonio Margarito to avoid further damage, and Chris Algieri dropping to the canvas against Ruslan Provodnikov for a similar reason. In most of these cases, referees ruled them as knockdowns. However, in Davis's situation, referee Steve Willis began counting but abruptly stopped. This has fueled debates on whether it should have been officially recorded as a knockdown, or if Willis made the right call by letting the fight continue.
Against Carlos Famoso Hernandez, when he lands the punch and turns his back and takes a knee, he gets counted. You think of Miguel Cotto against Antonio Margarito, where it was under duress and he just took that knee. And of course, my compadre right here, Chris Algieri against Ruslan Provodnikov as well. It wasn't a particular shot. You feel something, you feel discomfort, you take a knee. All those times, there's a count, dude. I mean, and I'll tell you what, Steve Willis also knew there was a count because he started counting and then stopped.
Since Steve Willis started counting but then stopped, fans and analysts have questioned whether it was a legitimate knockdown. Veteran referee Jack Rice weighed in, explaining the rules of boxing. He highlighted that referees have full control inside the ring, making them the ultimate authority on whether a fighter is down or if the match should proceed. Rice also clarified what qualifies as a knockdown. A boxer is considered down if any part of their body, aside from their feet, touches the canvas due to a legal punch. The key factor is that a knockdown must result from a legitimate strike. This has further intensified the debate over whether Davis's knee was a reaction to a punch, or if he merely kneeled to clear his vision after grease entered his eyes.
Let me just put out to you guys 3 rules of what a referee has to follow. First of all, the referee is the sole arbiter, the only person able to determine whether to stop a fight or not, and anything else that happens in a ring. The second is part of his ability to do things when fouls occur. If a boxer fouls or acts in an unsportsmanlike manner during the bout or in between rounds, the referee should admonish or disqualify the offending boxer depending upon the severity of the offense. And number 3, talks about penalizing and points. While warnings are generally preferred, the severity of a foul can warrant the immediate point deduction without any prior warnings. So now what gives a referee the ability to call what you guys are talking about as a knockdown, I don't know if you guys know, maybe you can tell me, if not, I'll surely tell you. Do you guys know what the description of a legal knockdown is?
When asked about taking a knee during his fight against Lamont Roach, Tank Davis explained that it was not due to a punch, but because grease had entered his eyes. He stated that he knelt to wipe his face and restore his vision, dismissing claims that he was hurt. Davis reassured everyone that he was fine and that Roach's punches had nothing to do with his decision. Speaking on fan reactions, Davis reflected on the unpredictable nature of public opinion in boxing. He remarked, "They cheer for you, then they turn against you," emphasizing how quickly supporters change their stance despite ongoing discussions. Davis remained confident in his abilities and focused on his career. While the moment has sparked debates among fans and experts, Davis stands by his explanation, showing his mental resilience as he moves forward.
Tank, you voluntarily took a knee midway through this fight. It was not ruled a knockdown. What happened?
I just got my hair done 2 days ago and she put grease in my shit, so the shit was like, like when you sweating and things like that and the grease come in my face. It burnt my eyes type shit. Damn, why y'all booing like I'm saying bullshit? Like, this is real facts. Come on, man. Look at my hair. I just got my shit done. But it's all cool, man. You know how I get. They love you and then they hate you. Turn around there and love you again. You know what I mean?
Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp analyzed the fight from different perspectives. While Stephen A. supported the official decision, Sharp believed Lamont Roach was the true winner. He argued that although Davis landed powerful shots, Roach responded with equally strong punches. Sharp highlighted Roach's aggression and consistent pressure throughout the fight. He also questioned Davis's decision to kneel, comparing it to Floyd Mayweather's knee against Carlos Hernandez, which was counted by the referee. Sharp felt Davis should have received the same treatment, suggesting that if the knee had been counted as a knockdown, it could have changed the final result. He viewed the fight as extremely close, but believed Roach had done enough to win by a narrow margin. The debate over the knee and final decision has fueled calls for a rematch between the two fighters.
I agree with you, Stephen A., but I thought Lamont Roach actually won the fight. Okay. Even though Tank Davis hit him with some good, clean, hard shots, Roach came back and hit him with just as hard, if not harder shot than what he took from Tank.
Yeah.
I just thought Roach was the more aggressive fighter. You can't take a knee in the middle of the fight because Floyd Mayweather did the exact same thing. He hit the guy with a punch, and he must have broke his hand, broke a knuckle or something, and he took a knee, and they gave him a standing 8 count.
He did. So he broke his hand.
Even with the situation with the 2 points, I still think it was a close fight. And I think it might have been a 1-point victory for Roach without the 2 points, but I definitely think Roach won the fight. And that's not to say Tank didn't fight well. Tank fought well. Tank fought like he always fight.
Veteran boxing coach Ennis, who has over for decades of experience, shared his thoughts on the controversy. He admitted he had never seen a situation quite like Davis's before. Ennis was surprised that Davis knelt and then moved to his corner to have his face wiped, a move that typically results in a referee's count. He also noted that Steve Willis initially began counting but then stopped, adding to the confusion. Ennis acknowledged Davis's popularity and his ability to draw fans, which is crucial for boxing. However, some argue that the move should have led to a disqualification since leaning into the ropes for assistance is not allowed. As debates continue, analysts and fans remain divided on whether the knee should have been ruled a knockdown or even a disqualification.
Now, as far as the knee goes, you've been in boxing for over 40 years.
Over 40 years,
yeah. Have you ever seen anything like that? A guy takes a knee?
No. Now, that's something I didn't expect him to do. You know what I mean? You know, he took the knee, you know what I mean, and then ran to the corner and got his eyes wiped out. They never allowed that. They would have started counting. You know what I mean? I see that he started counting, then he stopped. You know what I mean? But you got to understand, you know, Tank got a lot of power. That show you right there, he got power.
Cash cow.
That's what I'm saying. He put.
Boxing analyst Paulie Malignaggi also weighed in, stating that while the official draw wasn't the worst decision, the knee controversy could have altered the fight's outcome. He pointed out that the judges scored the match evenly, meaning if Steve Willis had ruled the knee a knockdown, Roach would have won by a single point. Malignaggi compared it to Floyd Mayweather's knee against Carlos Hernandez, which was counted. He argued that Davis should have been held to the same standard, despite the controversy. Malignaggi acknowledged Roach's impressive performance. Before the fight, Davis was a massive favorite with minus 1,600 odds, suggesting Roach was expected to be an easy opponent. However, Roach proved tougher than anticipated, raising questions about Davis's dominance. Malignaggi even suggested that several lightweight fighters might be better than Roach, casting doubt on Davis's standing in the division. At nearly 30 years old, Davis has yet to face the best in his weight class, despite his reputation.
And honestly, backed up Gervonta Davis a lot. Ultimately, I don't think the draw is the worst decision in the world. I think, obviously Lamont overperformed here, or at least the look is that he overperformed. But I'll tell you where robbery can come into play. 2 scorecards were even. There's a knockdown not given to Lamont Roach. Gervonta took a knee on his own. Let's remember when Mayweather did this against Carlos Famoso Hernandez years ago when his hand hurt, the referee counted him. So that was counted as a knockdown. Steve Willis is supposed to count that as a knockdown. And if Steve Willis counts that as a knockdown, Lamont wins by 1 point on 2 scorecards. And that knee that Gervonta Davis took ends up becoming the difference on the scorecards. I don't think a draw is the worst result in the world. I will say this: there are at least 6-7 lightweights that are better than Lamont Roach.
Tank Davis's trainer addressed the knee controversy, making it clear that he did not see it as a mistake or an illegal move. He explained that experienced fighters sometimes kneel strategically, framing it as a tactical decision rather than a sign of weakness by defending Davis's actions. He emphasized that this was part of the sport and not something that should be penalized. Instead of focusing on the debate, he advocated for a rematch, arguing that the best way to resolve the controversy was for Davis and Roach to fight again. He dismissed the criticism, shifting the focus to Davis proving himself in a second match. When asked about Roach's rising reputation after the fight, he acknowledged Roach's strong performance, but argued that facing Davis naturally boosts a fighter's name. However, in a rematch, he believed Davis would erase all doubts with a decisive knockout victory.
Mistake when it came down to Tank taking that knee, or do you feel like this is something that happens in boxing?
It wasn't illegal, so I ain't gonna say it was a mistake.
That's why I asked you that exact way. Like, do you feel like it was a mistake, or do you feel like no, this is a veteran move? This is stuff that happens in boxing.
It
this
happens
might
in
happen
boxing.
again.
It happens in boxing. It wasn't illegal. Just run it back. Just run it back. Shit. That's what champions do. Run it back. Carry that shit like men. Run it back.
Let's talking about that running back, the big rematch.
Former world champions Zab Judah also shared his perspective on the controversy. He emphasized that no one truly knows what Davis felt in that moment, making it unfair to judge him. Judah noted that Davis is an experienced professional who understands the rules and wouldn't kneel unless something serious was wrong. He admitted that the knee wasn't caused by a punch, making it different from a typical knockdown. Unlike fighters who go down from a hard shot, Davis voluntarily kneeled, indicating that it was intentional rather than forced. Judah also reminded people that Davis claimed grease burned his eyes, and if that was the case, then that's his reality. While acknowledging that fighters are not supposed to kneel without being hit, he believed Davis must have had a valid reason. Judah urged people to consider the context before forming opinions, insisting that only Davis truly knows what happened in the ring.
I mean, we know a guy like that in a fight of a magnitude like that, with him knowing the rules and regulation and him being as professional as he is, he know way better than to turn and take a knee because he know that's a knockdown. Unless it really was something that was tragic to what he had classified it to be like.
He said it was burning his eyes.
So we're gonna have to take that. We're gonna have to ride that out. I know Lamont. Everybody not gonna like that. They're gonna say Zab taking sides and all that. Listen, we don't know. We don't know. It wasn't like he got hit or nothing. See, it's the difference if he got hit and rocked and then went down. Then we hold up. He took it on his own. Hold up. You know what I mean? Like that was. You know what I mean? So you gotta give him that. He didn't do it from off a hit or force or off of force. If force was intended and then it happened, then that'd be different.
Boxing expert Kevin Yoli analyzed the fight, emphasizing how referee Steve Willis's decision in the 9th round affected the outcome. He explained that even though the fight was close, Davis's knee should have been counted as a knockdown. Had that happened, the scorecards might have favored Roach. Yoli noted that the early rounds were slow, with both fighters landing few punches. This made scoring difficult, as uneventful rounds often come down to personal judgment. As the fight progressed, Roach exceeded expectations, landing clean shots while standing his ground. Despite being a 16-1 underdog and moving up in weight, he proved to be a formidable opponent. Meanwhile, Davis showed signs of feeling Roach's punches, leading some to question whether Roach had actually done enough to win.
Because of referee Steve Willis, nobody could have seen that coming. But a call by the referee in the 9th round was the difference in the fight, and that is really unfortunate. You can make an argument. Let's throw the 9th round controversy aside for a split second. you can make a argument on who you thought won the fight because the fight was very close. I had it 115, 113 for Lamont Roach. One of the judges, Eric Marlinsky, scored it 115, 113 for Tank Davis. Glenn Feldman and Steve Weisfeld had it 114, 114. It was a close fight, and the first half of the fight was dreadful. And that's really, I think, where the fight was decided because look at the first round. I have the CompuBox stats up in front of me.
The biggest controversy occurred in the 9th round when Davis unexpectedly dropped to one knee. The confusion grew when he looked toward his corner instead of preparing to continue. His coach, Calvin Ford, even began stepping onto the ring apron with a towel, leading some to believe he was considering stopping the fight. The referee prevented Ford from interfering, but also did not immediately restart the match, giving Davis additional time to recover. Davis later claimed hair gel dripped into his eyes, causing him to kneel. However, Analyst Ioli dismissed this explanation, arguing that boxing does not allow timeouts. By failing to count the knee as a knockdown, the referee may have influenced the final outcome.
Going on, and then he turns and he goes to his corner, and you see one of his trainers, Calvin Ford, walking up the steps with a towel. Now, thankfully, referee Steve Willis did not allow Ford to work on him with the towel, got him back in. But even when he brought him back, he didn't start the fight back right away. They had a little bit of a conversation, and Davis gets a rest. Davis later said that the reason he did that was the grease from his hair gel got into his eyes. Never heard that one before. And so that was why he took the knee. You can't do that. There are no timeouts in boxing, and basically he took a timeout. And the referee did not rule it a knockdown. When your knee hits the canvas, it is a knockdown. And the way the fight was scored, that would have been a majority decision win for Lamont Roach if it's called a knockdown. And it really was unfortunate the way it played out. So yeah, it was really something. I could not believe Willis's call there.
That concludes today's analysis. Stay tuned for more updates soon.